Welcome. I'm really excited for today's session because we're going to be talking about something that's changing really fast, and that's how your customers are actually finding you online. Completely a game changer here. So if you're in restyling, especially, or in aftermarket automotive in general, could be wraps, PPF tint, accessories, lift kits, whatever your specialty is, you've probably already felt the shift. You might have seen it. You might have customers talking about it. So people aren't just going to Google and they're not just clicking websites the way they used to. They're asking ChatGPT, Google's AI or Gemini, Siri, or any of the other apps, the Claudes, the Groks, all those, or even just voice search in their car. And they're asking questions like, who's the best shop near me for window tint, for example, or where should I go for a lift kit install, et cetera, et cetera. And what shows up there is not random. There's actually a formula behind it. And today, what I'm going to do is break down how this new AI ranking works, what's changing, and most importantly, what you need to do to show up, not just on Google, but everywhere your customers are looking. Do me a quick favor and put in the chat the number 1 if you can hear me, you can see my slides, everything's good, and you're excited to learn more. Anybody in there? Awesome. Thank you very much. That's good to see. Fatima, appreciate it. Great. Slides are good. All's good. You can hear it. All right, great. The AI ranking formula for Restylers specifically. So before we dive in, I want to give you guys a resource. We have a workbook that goes deeper into everything we're going to cover today. It's a download. And so especially if you're live on the call here, I'm going to stay a little higher level at first, but we can answer questions if we need to at the end. We're going to do strategy and examples and what's working now, but I know some of you are going to want like checklists or exact steps or things you can implement right away for your business. And that's what the workbook's for. So you can go through it after the session. You can actually go through it during the session if you want. You could have it up on your screen if you got a big enough screen. It's a PDF, and you can go through it afterward too. And just like today, this is built specifically for restylers, aftermarket shops, installers, not like generic marketing stuff. So that's useful. And Fatima will put the link in the chat here too if you're live. Also, all right, let's move on. So before we talk about AI rankings specifically, I want to zoom out for just a second, give you the big picture, because AI rankings are just one piece of a bigger picture. If you really want to grow your shop consistently, everything falls into 3 buckets. First, you need to drive leads. You need a steady flow of people finding you that comes from SEO, paid ads, and your database. Okay. So just because this AI stuff exists doesn't mean we negate all other common sense and marketing tactics. Second, maximize your conversion. Getting leads is great. Like that's what you want to do. You want to maximize conversion. But if your website, your reviews, or your follow-up's weak, you're losing money. So we've got website performance matters, reputation matters, automation and follow-up really, really matter now too. And then third, optimize those results. So this is where most shops are going to fall short. They don't actually know what's working, what's not, where their best leads come from. So they either overspend like on ad budgets, or they underinvest in the right places. So now today we're mainly focused on this first piece, which is driving leads organically through AI and search. But just to make sure we cover, like marketing is bigger than this, but this is an important piece. So remember, if it only works if the rest of your system is dialed in. And there's a YouTube link there where we go over our 2026 marketing and growth plan webinar for Restylers, which is a great review of how to set goals and kind of the big picture. And we're gonna let you watch that instead of recap all that here. Okay, this is what that actually looks like in a step-by-step roadmap. So this is the accelerated growth roadmap for Restylers and automotive aftermarket shops. So how does this fit in with the big picture? And I want you to think about this as the full system. It's not just one tactic. On the left side, we've got drive leads, okay? Organic, showing up when people search, paid, Google ads, etc. Database, past customers, follow-ups, past customer reactivations, what I like to call it, or incentives to your current customer list, trying to get more referrals, trying to get more reviews, trying to get them to buy from you again. There's a lot of marketing that can be done there that doesn't cost any advertising dollars. In the middle, we've got maximize conversion. Okay, so your website, does it actually convert? Your reputation, do people trust you? Automation, are you following up fast enough so that you have speed to lead? That's a big problem that we see. We talked about that in the last webinar. And then on the right side, we've got optimize your results. You've got your total spend, which you need to budget for and think about, and then where you're going to put that. And then you got your cost per lead, and then you got your ROI. Because at the end of the day, it isn't about clicks or traffic. It's about the booked jobs, right? And it's about higher ticket installs and predictable growth. And we talked about that before. It's not just retail, although retail is the biggest lever for digital marketing, but your digital marketing impacts your dealership relationship and your wholesale side. And it also impacts your fleet, especially if you're trying to go direct to the fleet. So this is across all of the customer base or target markets, not just retail, but retail is a big part of it. And the reason I'm showing you this right now, again, is because what we're about to talk about with AI rankings fits right here in organic lead generation. So, and if you get this part right, it feeds everything else, okay? So, quick favor before I dive in, if you can just turn off your phone, close out Facebook, Instagram, email, or eliminate the distractions for just a little bit, even just part of this. What I'm going to walk you through, it isn't surface level. So it's the shift that's happening right now and how customers are finding shops like yours. And if you're a restyling business owner or aftermarket, you're serious about getting more leads and landing higher ticket jobs and actually growing on consistently online, then the next 60 minutes here or so is going to genuinely change how you approach your marketing. So just give me your attention. I promise it'll be worth it. And we'll get right into it here. So now, again, I like to do a lot of tell you what I'm going to tell you and then tell you what tell you the information, tell you what I told you, just review and get it in your head. So we're going to cover walking through the latest updates in Google algorithm. And this is obviously, I don't work for Google. We don't control Google, but we're looking at everything that we're hearing from all over the place and trying to get this consolidated for you, because whether you like it or not, Google's still the foundation. It hasn't changed. Then we're going to talk about AI and answer engines, things like ChatGPT, Google's AI, Gemini, and the others, and how they're starting to take attention away from traditional search and competing with Google, which is a good thing. Next, I'll show you something really important, what you may already be doing that's actually hurting you right now. There's things that are not good that we've learned. And then a lot of shops are unknowingly doing outdated SEO, and it's working against them. All those old hacks, and they called it like black hat stuff or like questionable tactics, they're really bad now. And some people are still trying to do them and expecting those same results, like cheating. And then finally, I'm going to break down how to optimize your website using the new SEO and GEO, or explain what that means, the AI formula. So by the end of this, you're going to understand what's changed, what matters now, and what to actually do about it. And so real quick, before I get any further, one more slide just about this stuff is I'm not just a marketing guy throwing theory at you. Everything that I'm doing today is based on working directly with restylers over the last couple of years, testing this stuff in real markets and seeing what actually drives leads and sales. We're super excited about this information. And also, I wrote a book called the Auto Restylers Digital Marketing Playbook, which is really a step-by-step system for getting more leads, landing better jobs, growing without wasting money. And I recommend you get it. We have a free plus shipping. You just pay for the shipping on the website right now. I recommend you check it out if you don't already have it. And I'm also involved in SEMA and SEMA Pro. I spoke at the SEMA education sessions, work closely with shops across the country. So what you're getting today isn't just like, hey, this might work, here's some theory. It's what's working now in the aftermarket space. And that's important because this industry is different. There's a lot of talk about AI right now, and there's a lot of even webinars like this that you could see, but they're not specific to aftermarket. And what works for plumbers or dentists doesn't always translate to restylers. So everything today is tailored specifically to your world. That's another important point. So when we look at these shops, what's really winning right now, the ones that are growing faster, they're booking out weeks in advance, they're doing higher ticket builds. There's some patterns. So what we're looking for is patterns. And it's not about tactics. It's about being visible in the right places, building the authority in your market, positioning yourself as the obvious choice. So the shops you're about to see in our slides, these are the types of businesses that are showing up consistently. They invest in their growth. They're staying ahead of the curve, because the reality is the gap between the shops that get it and the ones that don't is getting wider, and AI is accelerating that gap. And so I want to take a second just really quickly why we care so much about this. It's about helping restylers and their customers bring their vision to life. Every vehicle you touch is personal. And it's not just about transportation, it's identity, how someone wants to show up, how they express themselves, what they're proud of. And our mission is actually behind all of this is to help scale that impact. We want to help auto restylers and their customers personalize their vehicles to reflect their unique style. If we help the customer through doing better AI, like search visibility, they're going to better find us. They're going to get what they want, which then helps our clients and helps everybody else, right? So the only way that happens is if the shops have a steady flow of the right customers coming in. So it's about helping you grow so you can do more of what you already do best. So that's a little bit of why this matters. So the big question is does SEO still matter at all? And I hear this a lot, actually. With everything changing with AI, ChatGPT, Google updates, does SEO even still matter? Put a SEO in the chat if you've ever heard people question SEO. Does it matter at all? Or have you even wondered it yourself? Anybody give me some feedback? Yeah, okay, you've heard this conversation about SEO. Thank you. Like, is it still worth investing time and money into showing up on Google, or is this all shifting somewhere else? Right. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Noah. Thank you, Kim. Thank you. I saw those. I appreciate it. Or is it shifting somewhere else? Because I hear this all the time. Like, should I just focus on social media? This is a big one right now with shops. Social is the buzz. It's the flashy. It's the fun. Everybody wants to have this really cool reel walkthrough of their shop with the walk around of the vehicles and going inside. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. But some of the shops are like, well, that's what we do. That's all we do. Or should I just run ads? Maybe all this is a waste of time. And is SEO dead? And I want to address that head on before we go any further. And so let's look at a real world example here, just a screenshot from the other day. Is somebody types in truck accessories in Tulsa, what do they see? They see shops. They see listings. Okay. They see businesses that are positioned to get that call. And here's the important part. That customer is not casually browsing. They have the intent. Intent's huge. They're looking to buy accessories, installs, upgrades. So if your shop shows up here, you win. If you don't, you're invisible. And this is still happening thousands of times a month in every market for our keywords. So even with AI, this behavior hasn't gone on away. And also we can make the argument that this is also a big part of how AI is choosing to recognize you or not. And of course, Google has their own AI in here. And we're grateful that we got Integrity Customs there at the top. That's important, one of our clients. So now let's look at the data. This is really important. So about 71% of clicks go to organic results, not ads. And what we're showing on the screen is called the map pack. Okay, those are the top three. Now you can do more places and see the rest of it, but most of it's going to be right there in those top three. And 67% of those clicks go to the first 5 listings. It used to be 80. I guess people do look at more now, or maybe they're seeing them in other ways. But if basically either way, if you're not on page 1, you're barely in the game. And if you're not in the top 5, you're missing most of the opportunity, the majority. And this is especially true in restyling, okay? Because customers are comparing reviews, photos, and credibility and other things, but those are the big 3. And they're not just clicking the first ad, they're looking for the best shop. So ranking organically isn't just about visibility, it's about trust, it's about positioning. And just to show you this isn't theory, this is what it actually looks like when it's done right. These are real results from shops in the aftermarket space that we're working with. We're talking 200% increases in organic traffic, doubling traffic in competitive markets, thousands of additional visitors per month. More importantly, more visibility for the right keywords like truck accessories near me, lift kit installation, window tint shop. So, and when you show up for those consistently, it turns into calls, quotes, booked jobs. So SEO, when done correctly, is one of the highest ROI channels you can have because you're capturing demand that already exists. So let me make this very clear. Yes, SEO still matters. In fact, it's still one of the most important foundations of your marketing. But, and this is the key, it's evolving. What worked 2 years ago, even 12 months ago, is not enough anymore because now we have AI results, zero-click, we're explaining what zero-click searches are, and answer engines. And it's not just about do SEO either. Now, SEO is going to impact those, but it's about doing SEO the right way for where search is going. So we're going to have to talk about that tweak. And that's what we're going to into like in the next few slides, how AI is changing the game, okay, and how you can take advantage of it instead of getting left behind. So I'm spending a lot of time on the why, right? It's important to be motivated. Otherwise, we're not going to last the marathon that it takes to get all the results we need because it's going to be a lot of work. And so let's get right into it here. Let's talk about zero-click search. One of the biggest changes happening right now is something called zero-click search. And this is critical to understand. A zero-click search means somebody searches and they get their answer without ever clicking a website. So they don't go to your site, they don't browse, they don't compare. They just get the answer right there. And this is happening more and more with Google's AI, featured snippets. You've seen those when you do your search, and AI generated responses. And they're also happening within people's apps like ChatGPT, which means even if you're ranking, you might still be losing traffic, right? If you're not capturing that. Here's a simple example. If I search, what's the weather in Miami? And I was just in Miami with another team member of mine at a marketing conference, learning all they could talk about was AI and all the changes here. So what's the weather in Miami? Google just gives me the answer. I don't click anything. I don't visit weather.com. That's what I mean by a zero-click search. So now you might be thinking, okay, that's weather. How does that apply to me or us, right? Well, think about your customers for a minute. They're asking things like best window tint percentage, or how much does a lift kit cost? Or is PPF worth it, right? They're just kind of top of the funnel, they're still awareness questions. And Google's starting to answer those questions directly. Like, here's the answer, which means if your content isn't part of the answer, you're essentially invisible. You're not going to show up. And it has real consequences. So this is actual data from a site like weather.com and then a, SEMrush, report, but their traffic has dropped significantly. Now, not because fewer people care about the weather, but because Google's answering the question for them. Why bother going to weather.com? But because Google's answering the question for them, they don't need to click anymore. So now that's apply that to our business, right? If Google starts answering pricing questions, product comparisons, and install info, and your shop isn't part of that ecosystem, then you lose the opportunity completely. This is not theoretical. This is already happening today, and it's happening at an accelerated rate. Here's another example. This one is much closer to your world. So if somebody searches how to install tonneau cover rails, mostly tonneau covers or whatever, and they're looking for something specific. Now, Google's going to give them a full step-by-step answer. They're going to give them videos. They're going to give them support content, and it's all before somebody clicks anything. So now think about this strategically. This is an opportunity, because if your shop creates that content, answers those questions, and shows expertise and can back it up, then you become part of the answer. And that's going to build authority, trust, and visibility, even if they don't click immediately, right? So this brings us to the big question. How do you actually show up in these AI results? That's what we're going to break down. All right, so we're going to cover how to get listed in Google AI overviews and ChatGPT answers, how to build your brand and authority so AI trusts you, some of the basic and advanced tactics behind this, and ultimately the new ranking formula that we are putting together. So again, this isn't about replacing SEO. It's about evolving it, making it better. Some people would say that actually this is just the next stage of SEO. It's not that SEO doesn't exist or SEO is out, search engine optimization is dead. No, it's just now it's evolving and it's becoming this new thing. So it matters even more than it used to. I want to balance the conversation though, because I don't want you walking away thinking, okay, Google's dead pretty much. I mean, it's a matter of time. It's all AI now. That's not true. And I'm going to make sure you understand Google still dominates. We're talking 13.7 billion searches per day, and they're spending a lot of money on their own AI as well. YouTube is another 6 billion searches a day overall. So ChatGPT is growing, but they have a 1.1 billion. It's still not, it's a lot smaller though. So the takeaway is don't abandon Google, but also don't ignore where things are going. You need to be positioned in both. And that's the overall message. This really puts it into perspective. So Google and YouTube are still at the top. Then you've got platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and now rising fast, you got ChatGPT there. And you can see these numbers are crazy on the number of visits for each one of these sites. What does it mean? Your customers are not all searching in one place anymore. They might do multiple things before they even call you. So they might Google, watching YouTube, asking the AI tools. The buyer's journey's different. They have more options. So if your strategy is only focused on one channel, like all you do is Instagram reels, you're missing the opportunities here. You're totally missing it. And this is why we call it search everywhere optimization, right? I actually think we just keep the name SEO and just call it search everywhere optimization. It's not just SEO, search engine. It's not just ads. It's showing up wherever your customer's looking. And that's going to be hard work, but we can do it. We're going to show you. So this is how I want you to start thinking about SEO moving forward. SEO is no longer just rank on Google or Bing or Yahoo or whatever. It's now search everywhere optimization, meaning wherever your customer's searching, it might be Google, might be ChatGPT, YouTube, AI tools on their phone, Siri, anything. You just need to show up because your customer doesn't care where they find you. They just care who shows up, who looks credible, who they trust, who they looks like they can trust. So the goal is no longer let me rank on Google. The goal is let me dominate visibility across every single search platform available. Interesting. And now we're going to hear a lot about different terms. Okay, these are thrown around all the time. AEO, GEO, SEO. It can be confusing. So I'm going to simplify it for you. It's really not that big of a deal. AEO just means answer engine optimization. It's about answering questions directly. So when somebody asks, what's the best window tint? How much does PPF cost, etc.? Your content is what gets pulled into the answer. So GEO stands for generative engine optimization. This is optimizing for platforms like GPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, Grok, etc. So where the AI is generating responses and recommending businesses. And then SEO, which you already know, is ranking on Google essentially in Bing. So here's the key though. These are not separate strategies anymore. They all overlap now. And if you do it right, you win across all three. When you hear AEO, GEO, you can just think getting AI to recommend you. That's like a shortcut way to think about it. So this slide is really important here, although, and we can, we're going to have this information in the workbook, so you don't have to like take screenshots or jot it all down, but you can if you like. But these are AI search terms for automotive restyling services. And because this is how your customers are actually searching, they're looking for things like this. They're searching very specific things like lift kit installation near me, or ceramic coating cost, or best window tint shop in your city, right? Truck accessories near me, and all the derivatives of that. There's a million ways they could type it in. If you think like a customer, there's a lot more. And they're even more detailed, like comparisons, pricing, what's better type of questions. And this is exactly what AI is feeding on. So if your website is only optimized for auto accessory shop or whatever, you're missing 90% of the opportunity. You need to be answering specific services, specific questions, specific intent. And I'm not talking about just basic FAQs, like how do you get a hold of our customer service? But I mean like massive amounts of really good quality answers to the right questions. That's how you get pulled into AI results, right? Here's a real example of what it looks like in AI. So somebody asks, can you recommend the best restylers in Ohio? Which I really love this one. So ChatGPT doesn't give you 100 options, right? ChatGPT, it's a short list. And those businesses get the attention, the clicks, the leads. And you can see on the screen here, Auto Editions, Westerville, Columbus, autoeditions.net. Go Josh Polson. Congratulations. It's been hard work. We did it. And a couple others there also, right? But there's not a million on there. And then when you get out of that area, they're showing some more, right? So the question becomes, why those shops though? Why not yours? Could you be up there? Yeah, because there's a reason. And that's what we're, going to do here. We're doing that. We're reverse engineering this. Okay. So this is where it gets really interesting. We ran the same search across Google, ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, and Perplexity. And look at the overlap. We're really excited about Auto Editions because we're working with them. But those other companies, you can see how they can kind of change position depending on which one you're looking at. Certain shops show up consistently across all the platforms. Some don't. That's not luck. That's positioning. That means strong SEO, strong authority, strong online presence. And those shops become the default answer, right? So the goal isn't just to rank once, it's to show up everywhere because that's how you dominate your market, right? That's how you do it. So how do you come up? I want to turn this back to you. How do you come up? Like if somebody searches your services in your city on Google ChatGPT or any other AI tool, do you guys show up? Does your shop show up? Do your company show up? Or do your competitors show up? Because it's one of those moments where you don't really know until you check. So you could take a minute to check right now, see what you get. If you want, you can put the result in the chat. I do have to keep moving for time, but if anybody does that, that's fine. That's great. I want you to actually do this. Take a minute, like just open a browser. If you're on your phone, see if you can do this and multitask. I don't know. If you're driving, don't do it. Wait till later. Search your main service and your city, and then go to ChatGPT and ask, who are the best, whatever your primary service is, shops in your city? So like, who are the best restyler shops in Seattle? And a lot of consumers don't know the word restyler, right? We know that's an issue. So we might have to say, who are the best aftermarket automotive accessory installers in Seattle or in Chicago and Miami, et cetera. Or you could even get more specific. Who are the best lift kit installers in Miami? And maybe even try another platform or two. Just see what happens. Like pick a service that you really want to focus on. If you're like wraps and PPF or tint, who's the best window tint shop in Chicago, right? And just see what happens. Do you show up? Do you show up consistently? Or do you show up not at all? Try this on your own time too. And don't overthink it. Just get a quick gut check, because this is going to frame everything we talk about in the next few slides here. Okay, let's move on. And if you haven't done it, it's okay. You can do it in your homework. Let me show you what this actually looks like in the real world. So here's a ChatGPT response when somebody asks, who's the best restyler in New Hope, Minnesota? And look at how it responds, okay? Automotive Concepts. It doesn't just list a bunch of shops, though. It highlights one as the top pick, and then it explains it. We have to think like they're thinking, right? It's thinking, sorry. Why they're credible, how long they've been around, what services do they offer? This is really key, right? This information here, why they're trusted. So think about that for a second. If your shop is in this position, you're not competing anymore. You're being recommended. That's completely different level of visibility. But what does it care about? It's like obviously the reviews are huge. Like the content, it's pulling content from everywhere, not just the website. It's pulling content from other social signals, from social media. It's pulling content from everywhere, right? And so all of these things begin to matter. That's the holistic thing. Now we can actually measure this. This is a visibility data showing how often a shop appears in ChatGPT responses. In this case, 80% visibility mentioned 8 out of 10 responses. That means when people ask about AI, about that market, the shop shows up in almost every time. And by the way, this is an audit report that we can do for you for free. For anybody watching this webinar, we have some very sophisticated tools now to do these audit reports, and very comprehensive to see how you rank. Just let us know. The shop shows up almost every time, this one here. So imagine that happening in your city. Every time somebody asks best tint shop, best lift kit installer, best restyler near me, and your shop keeps getting mentioned, that's the opportunity right there, right? So that's the opportunity. And when we analyze it a little deeper, we can see exactly who AI is favoring. Out of multiple responses, one shop dominates the mentions. Okay, and again, that's not random. That's based on authority, content, reviews, overall online presence. So the takeaway here is simple. AI is already picking winners. The question is are you one of them, right? And it's comprehensive of what it's looking at. And this is what it looks like when everything comes together. So this is just a case study because we like to brag a little bit, shameless plug. In under 12 months, 62% of their traffic came from organic SEO, over 450,000 impressions, 12,000 clicks. More importantly, leads. So what matters is leads, obviously, right? What was the result? 479 leads in just 14 days. Cost per lead dropped significantly. This is what happens when you show up consistently, though. You build authority. You align with how search actually works, and it starts to compound. Here we want to offer you this. If you're sitting there thinking, okay, this makes sense, but where do you stand, and you want the deep dive, we'll do it for you. We'll pull together a free ranking report, SEO review, AI and GEO review. We'll show you where you're ranking, what keywords matter in your market, how visible you are across Google and AI, the reviews, the listings, the consistency, how well your website actually converts. Most importantly, we'll show you what to fix, where are the opportunities, no guesswork, no fluff, just clarity. We have a link there. We can put that in the chat. At any time, you can ask us and we'll do all that stuff for you. So here's the first and honestly most important piece of the entire formula. You answer questions. Number one, answer questions. That's it. A lot of businesses are afraid to answer questions. They just want to say, we're the greatest. We've been around for 30 years. Great customer service. Use us. Okay, but that's not answering any question. AI exists to answer questions. Google is becoming an answer engine. ChatGPT is literally an answer engine. So if your content isn't answering real customer questions, you're not even in the game at all. And by content, we mean the written content, especially, but also your videos, also and the transcript from your YouTube video and your social media stuff, all of it, right? You're answering questions. That's what people come to the internet for. And most restylers make a huge mistake. The website talks about we're the best. We've been in business 20 years. It doesn't actually answer what the customer's thinking, and that's where the opportunity is. Sure, you need some of that information, for credibility, but you need more than that. So what does it look like in practice? Here's examples. It's this, an FAQ section at the bare minimum, but not generic ones. Okay, you need real questions like, how long does tint installation take? Can I add CarPlay to my vehicle? Will a moonroof leak over time? And by the way, if you're a manufacturer or distributor on this call, you need to be helping us help your clients. This is like a whole separate issue, but sometimes I say the manufacturer spends all their time talking to the shop owners, even though we're the ones doing their marketing, and they don't tell us about their newest, greatest, latest products. And we need to know what it is that the customer is likely to ask so that we can get ahead of it. So that's a little tip for you guys in the manufacturing world, is you need to talk to the marketing people. The owners are too busy to deal with any of this stuff, right? Like they'll just come back to us and say, you know what, make us that tint installation page. We're like, okay. And we make it up based on what we know, but so anyway, off that little soapbox there for a minute, but those are the exact things your customer asking. They're asking detailed questions. And when your website answers them clearly, then Google understands it, AI understands it, and now you have a chance to show up in those results. It's simple, but most shops don't do it well. Okay. Now, if you're wondering what questions should I even be answering though, because there's a million. So this is one of the easiest ways to find out. Answer the public. There's this cool tool, right? You type in something like window tint, lift kits, truck accessories, and it'll show you dozens, sometimes hundreds of real questions people are searching. It's literally your content roadmap. So instead of guessing what to put on your site, you're just answering what people are already asking. So again, a lot of this information is in the workbook. We have other tools. When we do our audit, we can also help you with that. We have a much deeper dive version of it if you want us to do that for you, but you can do some of that on your own too. All right, here's where most people leave a ton of opportunity on the table. You don't just answer questions in text. You answer them, yes, in the text, in the content, written content, but also in the images, and the specific images, not generic images, and video, because AI pulls from all of it. Now, here's the important part. You need to structure it correctly. So that's where schema comes in. So that's just a technical term, but schema basically tells Google and AI, on your website, it's just like basically a code on an area of code on your website, but it says, hey, this is a question and this is the answer. So instead of your content just sitting there, it becomes something AI can actually use easily. We're trying to make it easier. Now, could it find it without that? Maybe, but we're trying to make it as easy as possible. And that dramatically increases your chances of showing up. So that's a basic thing that you would need, text with the schema. And there's a website up there to look at too, validator.schema.org. And you've got your images and you got your videos. So those are the three things. It's not just the blog, right? Now, that moves us into the second piece of the formula, authority, become the authority. So because answering questions alone isn't enough, AI doesn't just look for answers. It looks for the most trusted source. So the question becomes, why should Google or ChatGPT trust you over your competitor? And that's what authority is. That's what we mean by authority. So one of the biggest authority platforms is YouTube. This is one that very few of the restylers are working on, and it is a really good resource. And most restylers are underutilizing it, like massively. So think about it. You're already doing installs and builds and transformations, and that's content. Sometimes you put it straight to Instagram. Okay, but you should be showing before and afters, process videos, explanations on YouTube also, maybe even more than you're doing on Instagram and Facebook, because YouTube is the second largest search engine and heavily used by Google and AI. So if you're not there, you're missing a huge piece of authority that you want to try to start getting at least basic things on there, right? Now, another major authority signal is backlinks and mentions. This is the type of stuff that we do for clients. So when other websites reference you, for example, dealerships might link to you if you're lucky, partners, right? Could be other strategic alliance partners, could be vendors, could be manufacturers, blogs, automotive sites in general, or even just regular listings and directories like yellowpages.com. All of those count. Everything counts. And when those sites link to you, it tells Google this business is legit. And the more of that you have from legitimate, real websites, not people trying to hack the system, because that could count against you, but real ones, the more authority you build. And the authority is one of the biggest ranking factors, especially in AI, still to this day. And this, by the way, is a harken back to my earlier comment about SEO is not dead. This is like the old-fashioned stuff, old-fashioned meaning a few years old, right? Or been doing it for a decade. It still matters. So the fundamentals didn't go away. And this is an example of that. It still matters that you're there. Now, what's interesting is, do we have data on what AI actually uses? And platforms like ChatGPT and Google AI, they pull information from specific sources, and they don't all behave the same way. Okay, but one thing is clear, they're looking for trusted sources, what they determine as trusted sources, consistent mentions. That's about reputation and reviews, but also some generally when you're being mentioned, right? And strong signals across the web in general. So again, it isn't random. There's a pattern to it. It's not just whatever. You've got to have a strong presence for it to work. And this might surprise you, but some of the biggest sources AI pulls from are Reddit, Quora, forums, right? Because that's where real conversations happen. And people ask questions, people answer them. AI learns from that. So if you or your brand are part of those conversations, you're feeding the system, and you're building authority in places your competitors probably aren't even thinking about. And that's where you get an edge. Now, I'm going to warn you right now, don't hack it and fake it. There have already been people that have gotten shut down and penalized because they're trying to scam one of these systems and do a bunch of automation bot stuff in there. And that's not worth it. It's got to be legitimate, real questions and answers and conversations. And that takes time and effort. Number 3, website optimization. Now, this should go without saying. It could be number 1, but we've already covered the answer questions, the build authority. Now we'll talk about the third piece, website optimization. This is really where, we focus a lot of time, because everything we've talked about ultimately comes back to your website. The website is the hub. It's the hub where all the spokes of the wheel come out from, and come back to, but it's where Google evaluates you, and AI pulls information from it, and customers decide whether to contact you. So if this piece isn't dialed in, everything else just falls apart. So that's a huge part of it. So here's the full picture. This is the new SEO formula, okay? I want you to notice there's nothing crazy or complicated here. It's just doing the right things consistently. First, you figure out your most important keywords, and we can help you with that, okay? Not guesses, but actual data based on your services and your location, right? Maybe products, and what people are searching in that area. Second, you build pages for those. You build content around those, not one generic page that lists all your stuff, but pages for each service, pages for each city. Now, this hasn't changed. This is SEO 101 from before, but now we got to have even better content, and then you layer in questions, images, video, and proper schema. So it's not rocket science. We can break that down and make it work. Third, you optimize for the user experience too. Because if somebody lands on your site and leaves immediately because it's horribly difficult to navigate, or it's ugly, or it's slow, a lot of times they're just slow pages, that's going to hurt you. Then your on-page SEO, like your titles, your structure, your content, that matters. And then your off-page SEO, we talked about links, mentions, authority. And finally, you got to track everything, because if you're not tracking, you're just guessing. And that's the last piece of what we want to make sure we do. All right, let's pause for just a second, because getting traffic, it's only half the equation. The real question is when somebody lands on your website, do they actually call you? Because we see this all the time with Restylers. They invest in SEO, they start getting visitors, but then nothing happens. No calls, no leads, no jobs. Why? Because the website isn't set up to convert. Okay, now look at the example on the left. You've got a solid homepage, you got good title tags, strong H1, decent content. That's great for SEO. It's not enough. On the right, which is their mega menu that's dropped down for automotive concepts, This is where the real magic happens. Pages for each service. So instead of one generic website, web page that tries to cover everything, you have lift kit page, window tint page, wraps page, leather interiors page, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And each page is built to match exactly what the customer is searching for and asking and answering questions, answering their questions about that thing, and then driving them to take action. And here's the key idea. If somebody searches window tint near me and you send them to a homepage, you're going to lose them, especially with ads too. You have to have a landing page for that, right? But if you send them to a dedicated window tint page that's optimized for that, your chances of getting the call go way up. So it's not just about ranking and traffic and visibility, like in general with your whole website. It's also about alignment with the specific pages on your site. So the right message to the right person at the right time. That's the marketing 101. Right message, right person, right time, using the right medium, right? And when you combine the strong SEO with a conversion focused website, that's when you're going to start seeing more calls, better jobs, higher ticket work, higher quality leads, not just more traffic, but better results. And that takes time. This is not something you flip a switch and it's just done. It takes evolution. It takes time and effort. And that's why SEO is it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's a marathon and you got to put the reps in, right? There's just no better way. A quick check, because I know we're racing through here. Put the number 1 in the chat really quickly if you're still following along, if it makes sense to you and you're getting something out of this so far. And if there's any questions, you can ask those too. We have a little option to do a Q&A. You can ask a question in the Q&A, or you could also put it in the chat and we can review that. Just making sure everybody's still with me. All right. Thank you, Kim. Appreciate it. All right, Josh. Thank you. Fatima Maham, Rafa. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys and hey, hopefully you're learning something today too. That's great. All right. So now we'll keep moving. We got to keep charging along. Thank you. Oh, Ace is great. Now let's break this down a little deeper. There are really 4 buckets that Google and now AI look at. First is technical. If your site is set up correctly, is it fast? Is it secure? Okay. The second is on page. So there's like technical SEO, on page, off page, right? So the on page, what's on the website, it's going to look at your content, your keywords, how well your pages are structured. How fast they are is more of a technical thing too, but all of that's related. And then the third is the off page. This is harder to control because this is somebody else's website, right? But this is backlinks, links that come back to your website. This is mentions, you being mentioned, your company being mentioned. It's reviews that point back to you and your website. It's social signals that point back to you and your website. A lot of what we do is we do SEO kind of social is what I call it. It's social so complicated. It's a big animal, right? But there's a part of it where just getting traffic to your website's important. And so it's looking at all these things. But here's the most important one. The tiebreaker is called EEAT, experience, expertise, authority, and trust. And there's different ways to define it, but basically what separates average shops from dominant shops. Because at the end of the day, Google doesn't just want relevant content, and it's the real magic over there is where we've got, everything it's all coming together to show experience. Essentially, authority is what you're trying to build. So the last part of that, the expertise, authority, and trust, Google and AI, they're hungry for it. They want to see that you're the real deal. You didn't just start yesterday, or you're just a wannabe, or it's all a generic AI built website with no real, specific content that's real. They want expertise, they want authority, they want trust. So what does that actually mean? So expertise means that you're creating high quality, structured, real content, not generic, not AI fluff, by the way. You can use AI tools to help, but you got to have a human being usually overseeing this, right? And then real world knowledge. Authority means you're being referenced, you're being talked about, you're showing up in multiple places online. That means reviews, links, consistency. All signaling this is a legitimate business. These are the real deal. These guys and gals know their stuff. And if you look at the data here, you're going to see Google business signals, link signals, reviews, on-page content. They're all playing a role. So again, it's not one trick, it's a system. And when you put all of this together, that's where you start showing up everywhere. So number 4 is AI SEO strategies, a little bit more detailed. So now that we're getting into the part that most people aren't doing yet. Some of them are doing the other 3 on accident, or kind of doing them, or doing them halfway. Most people aren't even doing number 4. And this is where the real opportunity is right now, because everything we've talked about so far, that's the foundation. It's all good. But this next section, this is what's separating the shops that show up everywhere from the ones that are invisible on AI or just intermittently showing up. And these are the advanced SEO strategies. So you have to understand something. Google is no longer just a search engine. And a lot of this is repetition so that it sinks in your head. You understand Google is now an answer engine, answering questions. It's not alone. You got Google AI overviews, Gemini, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, Grok, etc. And customers aren't just searching, they're asking the questions. The platforms are deciding, well, who's going to get mentioned, who gets recommended, who gets the lead. So the question becomes, how do you show up to that answer? And this is when Google AI gives answers, it doesn't just pull from random websites. Now, some of this, again, I'm pulling this together. It pulls from trusted sources. And you're going to see things here like Reddit and YouTube and Quora and LinkedIn. We haven't even talked about LinkedIn, but you're also seeing other authoritative websites that might mention anything about the topic. So if you're only focused on your website alone, you're missing a big part of the picture, because Google's looking at the entire ecosystem around your business. Some of our clients get articles published in Shop Magazine. That would be a great way to get a mention. And that's great. One example. It's only one example. And maybe they never want to publish you on their magazine or Window Tint magazine, right? Or whatever. So what else could you do? You could keep trying to get them to notice you, but you have all these other things that you could also be doing to get those mentions. So how do you actually show up in the AI results? We'll break it down again here. So at a basic level, you need clear question and answer formatting, meaning what is ceramic coating? How long does a lift kit take to install? And you give a short, direct answer right away. Okay, so that's key. What's interesting about this is that there are average times, but then there's your shop specifics. What makes it even more powerful is if you are using your actual data from your actual shop, because then no one can just copy your content. It's your content, because no, it actually takes us 35 minutes. We've clocked it or whatever, right? And we could do it, and that might have to change over time as your shop changes, but that's part of the challenge, right? And on the mid-level, you build topic clusters. We call them topic clusters. So instead of just one page, you have a main service page, yes, and it supports content around it, okay? So you get those advanced EAT signals, things like the authority, author credibility, real case studies, mentions across the web. So things like, like even when you have a blog, instead of just saying this blog is brought to you by Auto Style Marketing, I actually put my name as the author on the blog on there. It's a person. So that's just a small example, but it's like, you got to they want people involved, like a case study. Here's an actual client and a real vehicle, and from, so-and-so Ford dealership. And here's here's what the owner, here's what the GM said, and here's what the customer said, and here's quotes, and here's names. Or, and if they don't want their name mentioned, it's Jesse S, and maybe hide the last name. I don't know. But something that adds more credibility is going to make a big difference. And that's where most shops are going to fall off. They're not going to have any of this stuff at all, not much less the more detailed things. So now ChatGPT behaves a little differently than that, because it relies heavily on Wikipedia and Reddit and authoritative content sites at this point, which means it's not just looking for who ranks number 1 on Google. It's going to look at Google, but it likes to, also ChatGPT they're kind of, Google doesn't own it, right? So it likes to use Bing and some other resources. So you got to be aware of that. So it's looking for who's consistently referenced, who has strong authority signals on some other platforms. So again, if your entire strategy is just your website, you're not going to dominate here at all. So how do you actually show up in ChatGPT? Okay, at a simple level, you need high quality, clear, authoritative content. At a mid-level, you need brand mentions. This is huge, because AI is going to connect credibility with how often you're talked about and where you're mentioned. And then more advanced would be you implement answer engine optimization. That means you're like getting into the conversational content and you're studying it and you're optimizing it on your site. You have a clear structure, the schema markups and all that. And you do an FAQ section that are very involved. And that's basically, you make your content easy for AI to understand and trust. So again, some of this is common sense and some of it is sort of technical. The common sense is you need to be answering questions and you need to have, great content and go in from a variety of places. And then the technical side is you want to optimize that all on your website. So that's kind of the geek side of it, right? There's two sides to all of it. Here's something important. AI actually, how it actually decides who to recommend, it's looking at things like the reviews and the ratings. So this is ChatGPT will even say this, reviews and ratings are huge. And we were even talking to a client yesterday where the client was saying, is it important what they say in the review? And we said, yeah, it is important. It best if they actually mention the service or product that they got from you in their review, which you could prompt by sending them a script to copy and paste into their review, or kind of telling them, hey, why don't you talk about what you actually did here at our shop, rather than just say, those guys are great, right? So that matters. The years, it's also looking at things like your years in business. So if you don't put that on your site, you should in your content. If it's a long time, if you started yesterday and might not be as relevant, but your service offerings are huge. You got to cover all your services, your availability, your hours, how easy is it to get a hold of you? What's the process to get a quote? Can they just walk in? All this information matters. Your local presence, a lot of that has to do with your online listings, your website quality, certifications. Do you put your certifications on your website? And your brands that you work with, like it lends credibility. It's like badges of honor, the logos of your partners and things and mentions. So that sounds familiar, right? Right? Because it's exactly what a customer would look for. It's very human. It's what a customer would look for, not just what AI or SEO looks for, or Google. AI is just replicating human trust at scale. So if your business isn't strong in these areas, you're probably not going to show up. And then you've got platforms like Perplexity. I think it was important just to show another one here. That leans even heavier into Reddit and community discussions and real user-generated content. So again, it reinforces the idea that authority is not just your website, it's your presence across the whole internet, period. So here's a new formula for AI visibility summarized. First, answer real questions clearly. Write like you're helping a customer standing in your shop. Second, structure matters. Your headings, your bullet points, clean formatting. Third, use real expertise, not generic content, not fluff, real world expertise. Sometimes we interview our clients and we actually take their words and use that and edit that and turn that into content. Real world experience. And fourth, get mentioned any way you can, because AI trusts what others say about you even more than it trusts what you say about you. And finally, test your content. So search it in ChatGPT, search it in Perplexity, etc. See what comes up and then refine it. You might need to adjust it after you posted it. Just because you've created content doesn't mean it never has to change again. You can go back and tweak it and change it endlessly if needed. Sometimes that's even a good thing, as long as you're improving it, not just messing with it for no reason. And this is where a lot of people get stuck, though. They think, oh, I just need to post blogs. That doesn't work anymore by itself. One random blog post here and there, it's not going to move the needle. It requires structure, consistency, strategy. It's a system, not a tactic. It's strategy, okay? What we built. So it is a system designed to generate authority signals, content, visibility at scale, because the goal isn't just to rank on Google anymore. The goal is to show up everywhere your customer's searching, everywhere AI is pulling answers from. Here's how it's actually getting executed. So on page, you got your service pages, you got your city pages, optimized structure, okay? You got Google Business, you got maps optimization, citations, reviews. I'm still a big believer in your Google Business profile needs to be updated and optimized on a regular basis, and make sure that it's complete in every way. And it's never perfect, by the way. It's always changing, right? So it's an ongoing process. And then other ongoing content, consistent publishing, distribution everywhere, website, social, etc. And then signals like links, embedded, authority, fresh content, all of it's working together. It's not just one thing, it's a system. And when you run the system consistently, that's when you start to dominate Google, AI, your local market. That's the key. Now, these are the types of keywords you should be targeting. Again, we kind of threw keywords up earlier, throwing it up again, just to give you kind of a framework. You've got your core searches like truck accessories near me, vehicle customization in your city. Then you got your high intent keywords like best restyling shops near me. If somebody actually knows that word, that's really high intent. Or lift kit shop near me, that kind of thing. And then you've got service specific like tint, wheels, fleet upfitting, just looking for that service or product. This is how you capture demand at every stage. And most shops are only going after maybe a tiny portion of this, okay? I actually put together a full keyword list for you, which is a great starting point. It's a little generic for all aftermarket automotive installers and restylers, so you would tweak it a little bit for you, the specific services you focus on. But instead of guessing, you can literally take it and start implementing. Just go ahead and grab a link. Fatima can put it in the chat. We'll also have it in the workbook, or you can just ask us and we'll send it to you. So we've got a really cool list. It's a great tool, gives you a document with all the keywords to get started. Let's take as we get closer here, let's talk about something that directly impacts whether you get chosen or not, your reviews. Because you can rank number 1, but if you got like 3.4 stars, 3.2, 2.9, even 3.8, I mean, that's pretty good, or you have barely any reviews, you're probably losing some business, if not a lot. So reviews are not optional anymore. They are a major ranking factor and a conversion factor. You can't ignore them anymore. They're huge. So how do you actually generate more reviews and more good ones consistently, where people are actually, putting good comments in there and then you're responding, right? You need a system, not just asking once in a while. You need an automated follow-up, a lot of them, more than you think. You need consistent requests and a process in your shop. In other words, you have your automatic version, but you also have your people version. Like, people still ask and talk about it. And ideally you connect your CRM so every customer gets prompted at the right time, because the shops that win are the ones that make it easy for customers to leave reviews. You got to make it really easy. Send them the link to their phone, in a text and email, on the spot if possible, like, every way you can, right? I've even heard of like putting like the little window hanger visor thing, with a QR code that goes to leave a review, and until the dealership makes you pull them out or whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of things that people have been trying, but you've got to make that a part of it. And look at this one, 2 shops, both are showing up. Okay. Now, but one has more reviews and a little bit stronger rating. Now, these are both great, really great shops, and we love these guys, and we're working on helping them get better and better and better. They've all got a ton of reviews, which is amazing. They're past the magical number of 200, which it usually is shown to start escalating your traffic. You got well over 400 each. But this is who's if you look at these, and then maybe the next one down has 100 reviews or 12 reviews, who are you going to call? You're going to call one of these guys, right? And if you're comparing these, you might even like go with the 4.6 over the 4.4. Now, luckily these guys aren't in the same market, so they don't have to compete, which is great. All right, this is where systems come into play. So when your CRM is connected to your marketing, everything gets easier. Follow-ups easier, review requests come easier, lead tracking, automation, not just for retail. You can do this for fleet and dealership. You can have different pipelines set up. Nothing needs to fall through the cracks, and you're not relying on memory or manual processes. We happen to work also with providers, shop management software for restylers like Restyler Connect, which is the one we recommend. We love those guys. They do a fantastic job, and their AAC configurator. And we have what we call our Restyler CRM. It's a customized CRM just for aftermarket automotive installers and restylers. And we connect with those software, and we manage all this, and we have all of this for you. And we actually offer a free 30-day trial. If you want to try it out, you can play around with it, see if you like it, just let us know. And behind the scenes, it's going to be complicated, right? You're going to be looking at every lead, every follow-up, every touch point. It's all going to get tracked. It's all going to get automated. It's all managed. It's how you scale without chaos. If you don't have a system for reviews, you're just not going to get them consistently. It's just too easy to forget to do when you get busy. So now let me show you how it actually all comes together, and we'll land this plane here pretty quick. All right. Appreciate you guys hanging in there, because it isn't theory. It's a proven system. So to rank in the Google 3-pack, you need 3 things working together. First, your Google business profile. That's your map listing. It's got to be optimized. It's got to be updated. It's got to be great. And you got to look at it every now and then and make sure you're adding the pictures and the posts and all those things. Second, your on-page SEO, your website structure, your pages and your content. And third, your reviews and reputation. And here's the key. Most shops are missing at least one of these, or they're only doing one so-so, or they get so caught up in other stuff. Like they're so into their reels on Instagram that they forgot about their Google business profile, or they forgot about their SEO on their website, and they forgot about their reviews. And it's like letting the tail wag the dog. You don't want to do that. It's out of order. So when all 3 of these are aligned, though, that's when you dominate your local map results. And that's where leads can come from. Serious leads, not just people liking your posts, because likes don't turn into money, right? It doesn't hurt, but you need to get your priorities straight, basically. So let me show you a real example. This is a search for best restylers and aftermarket installers in Tulsa. And look who shows up again. I love it. Integrity Customs. It isn't random. It's the result of strong SEO, optimized Google business, consistent reviews. And when you show up here, you get the calls because this is where the buyer intent is the highest. And it leads back to what AI is going to recommend as well. So it's another reinforcement of why you want to do the basics so that you're recommended in the traditional way. You're showing in search, but you're also getting recommended by AI. And so the results that came about this, these are real numbers, 463 leads generated, over 2,400 monthly organic visitors, 746 keywords indexed, 2 times the traffic growth, over 100 grand in trackable revenue. And that's when you have a CRM and you're pulling all these pieces together, you can see numbers like this. And that's when the system's implemented correctly, you don't just get more traffic, you get more leads, you get more revenue. And then ultimately, all we really want is the return on investment, right? That's what you care about, but you got to have it set up. So for those of you live with me or watching the recording, either way, what are your takeaways? What did you learn today? What did you notice? Maybe that was a little different that you didn't expect. Maybe you knew everything, but there was just some different way I mentioned it that you looked at it. And now you're going to do something different. What would you like to share? And if anybody wants to share in the chat, they can, or you can send us an email afterward. You can contact us, autostylemarketing.com, and we will chat with you about it. Love to hear more. If anybody has any comments, feel free to leave them in there. And I'm going to keep moving for time here, but if you do leave a comment, great. Action items. What are your top action items? So this is in the workbook. I'm a big believer in all of the information in the world is useless if we don't take action. So I know I've got a bunch of action takers on the call here today, and I know I got people watching this recording who want this to work for them. So what are your top action items? Write them down now, please, for your own sake. You can share them with us if you like. We'd love to hear about what your goals are. And then again, don't forget the new AI formula for Restylers workbook is available. It's in the chat. It's going to be a part of the follow-up. So if you don't have it, ask for it and we will happily send it to you. It's a great resource that goes over in detail everything you need to implement what you learned in the webinar today. And then again, one more pitch. We do a free ranking report and SEO review for you. It's actually a complete online presence audit, analysis of your online visibility, custom keyword list, all your most important search results. We can take a look at everything, the website, even social, and your AEO and GEO, basically how often you're recommended in what areas, and we can help you figure out a strategy to put that together for you. And so if that's of interest to you, let's talk. You can go to restyler.autostylemarketing.com/schedule-strategy/session, which is a long URL if you want, or you can just contact us. You can contact me directly if you like, and you can call us at 206-875-2922. You can also go to autostylemarketing.com. And again, I really appreciate everybody being here today. If there are any questions or anybody wants to ask something, I'll stay on for a couple more minutes. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up. I like all of the interaction. If you got something today, I would love in the chat one more time, just say yes in the chat if you learned something new today. I got some thumbs up. Thank you. Here, Bob Cook Sales. Love it. Thank you, guys. That's great. Brooklyn. Yes. Yeah, thank you. Awesome. If there are no questions, then I'm just going to wrap it up, and feel free to contact us and we'll help you out. All right. Fatimi, are we good? Good to go? Anything that came up during the call that I missed? Anybody have any questions or any glitches or anything?
No, all good.
All good. All right. All right. You guys have a wonderful day. We'll see you all later. Thank you.